Lesson 10. The Contract. After talks in Brighton, Viktor Klimienko has signed the contract between Continental Equipment and TST Systems for the supply of processing equipment. Here are some clauses of this contract. Brighton, England, April the 10th, 1997.
Continental Equipment plc, Brighton, England, hereinafter referred to as the seller on the one part, and TST Systems Limited, Kiev, Ukraine, hereinafter referred to as the buyer on the other part, have concluded the present contract as follows.
1. Subject of the contract.
1.1. The seller has sold and the buyer has bought the machinery, equipment, materials and services, equipment, as listed in Appendix 1, being an integral part of this contract.
2. Prices and total value of the contract.
2.1. The total contract value is as follows. Equipment and engineering, FOB, free on board, UK port, plus documentation. Supervision, startup and training, spare and wear parts. Freight, total price, CIF, cost insurance freight, Odessa. Discount, total contract value. 2.2. The prices are understood to be CIF Odessa, including cost of packing, marking, loading on board a ship, stowing and fastening the equipment in the hold, and the cost of the materials used for this purpose. 2.3. The prices are firm for the duration of the contract and shall not be subject to any revision except on account of any mutually agreed changes or modifications to equipment specification and/or quantities listed in Appendix 1 to this contract.
3. Time of delivery.
3.1. The equipment specified in Appendix 1 of the present contract is to be delivered within 2 months from the date of opening the letter of credit specified in Clause 4.1 of this contract. 3.2. The delivery date is understood to be the date of the clean bill of lading, issued in the name of the buyer, destination Odessa, Ukraine.
4. Terms of payment.
4.1. Within 30 days from the date of signing this contract, the buyer is to open in favour of the seller an irrevocable confirmed letter of credit with Citibank, London, for 100% of the total contract value. The letter of credit is to be valid for 3 months. 4.2. Payment from this letter of credit at the rate of 100% of the total contract value is to be effected in Great Britain pounds against the following shipping documents. 4.2.1. Original bill of lading, issued in the name of the buyer, destination Odessa, Ukraine. 4.2.2. Shipping specification. 4.2.3. Certificate of quality. 4.2.4. Certificate of origin. 4.2.5. Packing list. 4.2.6. Insurance policy.
5. Technical documentation.
5.1. Within 5 days from the delivery date, the seller shall send 2 sets of the technical documents as listed in Appendix 2 to the address of the buyer. 5.2. All instructions on the drawings are to be in English, with all the instructions contained in items 1, 2, 3 and 4 of Appendix 2 translated into Russian.
6. Guarantee of the quality of the equipment.
6.1. The guarantee period is 12 months from the date of the startup of the equipment. That is reflected in an appropriate act signed by the representatives of the parties to the present contract, but not more than 18 months from the date of delivery of the equipment. 6.2. If the equipment proves to be defective or faulty during the guarantee period, the seller has, at its expense, at the choice of both parties, either to remedy the defects or to replace the faulty equipment with new equipment of good quality, which is to be delivered without delay to the port of delivery.
7. Packing.
7.1. The equipment is to be shipped in Export C packing suitable for the type of equipment delivered. Packing should also be suitable for transshipment in transit and reasonable long storage of the equipment. 7.2. Each container is not to exceed the following dimensions: length 2,500 mm, width 2,500 mm, height 2,500 mm. 7.3. The seller is responsible to the buyer for any damage to the equipment resulting from inadequate packing of the equipment.
Marking.
8.1. All the containers are to be marked on 3 sides. Each container should bear the following markings made in indelible paint in Russian and English. Contract number. Seller, Continental Equipment plc. Address. Buyer, TST Systems Limited. Address. Railway station of destination, Kiev. Container number. Gross weight, kilograms. Net weight, kilograms. Case dimensions, in centimeters. Length times width times height. 8.2. If a case requires special handling, it should bear additional marks: fragile, top, or this side up, etc.
9. Shipping instructions and notifications.
9.1. Within 24 hours after shipment, the seller is to inform the buyer by fax regarding the date of shipment, the bill of lading number, number of containers, their weight, the vessel name.
10. Insurance.
10.1. The seller is to take care of and cover expenses for insurance of the equipment under the contract from the moment of its dispatch up to the moment of its arrival at the port of Odessa.
11. Sanctions.
11.1. In the event of delay in delivery of the equipment, the seller is to pay the buyer a penalty at the rate of 1.0% of the total contract value for every week of delay. However, the total amount of penalty for delay in delivery is not to exceed 10% of the total contract value. 11.2. While calculating penalty for delay, the amount of days comprising over half of a calendar week is considered to be a full week.
12. Force majeure.
12.1. The parties are released from their responsibility for partial or complete non-execution of their liabilities under the contract, should this non-execution be caused by the force majeure circumstances including, but not limited to, fire, flood, earthquake, and if these circumstances have had a direct damaging effect on the execution of the present contract. 12.2. The party which is unable to fulfill its obligations under this contract is to inform the other party within 10 days from the beginning of force majeure circumstances.
13. Arbitration.
13.1. The seller and the buyer will take all possible measures to settle amicably any disputes or differences which may arise out of the present contract or in connection with it. 13.2. If the parties do not come to an agreement, all the disputes and differences are to be submitted for arbitration in Stockholm, Sweden, in accordance with the rules and regulations of the Chamber of Commerce in Stockholm, and applying the substantive laws of Sweden.
14. Other terms.
14.1. The seller, upon written consent of the buyer, shall be permitted to substitute equipment of comparable quality and conforming to the technical requirements for any item of equipment that may not be available for one reason or another. 14.2. Any changes, amendments, or supplements to the terms and conditions of this contract shall be valid only if set forth in a written document duly signed by authorized representatives of both parties to the present contract. 14.3. After the contract has been signed, all the preliminary agreements, discussions, and correspondence between the parties concerning this contract are to be considered null and void if conflicting with this contract. 14.4. The contract becomes effective and comes into full force from the date of signing.
15. Legal addresses of the parties.
Seller: Continental Equipment plc, 9 North Road, Brighton, BN1 5JF, England. For and on behalf of the seller, Alfred Rogers, Chairman. Buyer: TST Systems Limited, PO Box 171, Kiev 253100, Ukraine. For and on behalf of the buyer, Viktor Klimienko, Commercial Director.